Well, good morning, guys. It is Clark with Ruoff Mortgage, and we have yet another live edition of our weekly Wednesdays. And today we want to talk about a topic that really impacts all of our clients. And so it's important as the professionals that we're having this conversation. I always have this conversation with my clients. And if the lenders that you have referred your clients to in the past are not, they are doing them a disservice. And that is the relation between the assessed value and the taxable value of the home. I would encourage you to, if you see a huge disparity between the two, that you at least mention it and then, or mention it to me so that I can make sure that we together are affirming the clients as to what's happening. So here's what I'm talking about. So as we are well aware, we have a taxable value of a home. And then you have the state equalized value. Okay, state equalized value is determined by what the homes are selling for in the area. The taxable value is based on the amount of taxes that can be charged. Okay, the taxable value while you own a home can only go up 3 to 4% on an annual basis when the home ownership has not changed. The SDV can go all over the place. Okay, it's based on what's the market doing, what's the trend of what's going on. Okay, so once again, these are taxable value. How much can we actually have them taxed on? And state equalized, I'm going to abbreviate that, value. Okay, so these numbers can vary wildly. So, especially if a homeowner has been in the house for a long time. So let's give an example. We have your buyers looking at a house, and the sellers have lived in their home for 20, 25 years, right? So the state equalized value has, especially recently, has gone up and up and up and up, but the taxable value is lagging significantly behind, okay? Well, what happens is when the homeownership changes hands, from the seller to our buyer, the limit of how much the taxable value can go up is lifted. There's no cap. And what will happen is the state equalized value and the taxable value will actually be equal, which in turn will impact our client in terms of the monthly payment. So I kind of put up together an example for you so you can kind of see what is going on and for you to notice this, because what happens is this happens typically about a year, depending on when they buy, but typically the assessed value will catch up to them about a year after the fact. So what happens is their payment, they'll get notified, hey, the taxes have gone up and your new payment is going to be this, and not only be based on the increase of taxes, but also your escrow account is low, which is very frustrating for clients. So I am very careful to have this conversation almost every time. The only exception to the time that I don't do it is if the homeowner, the current seller, hasn't owned the home for very long and the state equalized value and taxable value are very similar. I don't muddy the waters with an explanation of something that's going to happen a year from now, okay? Because it's not necessary. But what I do is I go through the process and I actually show them the math. I do a calculation for them and I say, hey, here is what's going to happen a year from now. And I always tell them, you'll probably forget what I'm talking about right now because we're doing so much stuff. But a year from now, when you get that notification in the mail saying, hey, your payment's going up, you'll be like, oh, that's what Clark was talking about. So let's give you a real example. Let's just say, and we're gonna make the math really easy on ourselves, okay? Let's say that prior to the home changing hands, the taxable value is $80,000. And the state equalized value is $100,000. Okay, so what will happen is when it's reassessed, the taxable value will go up to that state equalized value. And sometimes, based on what the price has been paid, this can even go up at the same time. But let's just assume right now that our taxable value a year from now is going to go up to $100,000. Equal to, and this is after it closes, So let's put after close. So initially, the taxes, once again, making the math really easy on ourselves, let's say that the summer and winter taxes were $4,000. As a side note, the summer and winter taxes, I've noticed with conversations I've had recently that there is some confusion around summer and winter taxes. So I'm just going to have a side note just for a second. Maybe we should dedicate an entire week to this. I don't know if it's worthy of that. But the summer taxes they're collected clearly in the summer, and they run from July 1st to June 30th. The winter taxes run from December 1st to November 30th. They are not related at all. They have nothing to do with each other. It's not a matter of the summer taxes are paid from July to December and the winter taxes are paid from December to June. It doesn't work like that. So as the real estate professional, you need to, if your client has a question about this, I talk about taxes all the time with clients because most of them do not understand. And I've had conversation with agents who did not have a clear understanding of this. It's important for you to know for a few reasons. One, the biggest thing that impacts them when they're buying a house is setting up the escrow account and tax prorations. And we have a video that's dedicated to how much money you're going to need at closing. We'll actually post that for you guys to give you a reminder of that. But all the things that go into the monies that you need at closing beyond down payment, beyond closing costs. Closing costs on buying a house are relatively inexpensive. The big number, what makes their number get really big, is the amount of taxes and prorations that they have to pay, homeowners insurance, everything at closing. So having a working knowledge of that for yourself allows you to be able to have those type of conversations with the clients. But getting back to this discussion here, we're just going to say for ease of conversation, there's no reason to make it complicated. But for ease of conversation, we're going to say the summer and winter taxes combined for this particular example are $4,000. Now, if you do the math here, okay, the taxable value has gone up $20,000. Okay, the difference between here and here, in order for 80 to get to 100, it has to go up $20,000, which happens to be in a percentage, 25%. 20,000 is 25% of 80, not 25% of 100. We're not trying to figure out this percentage. We need to know how much of this number did it go up. Now, once again, I'm not telling you you need to know how to do all this math, but what I am telling you is you need to know, have an understanding and a grasp to say, hey, you need to go talk to Clark about this. You need to go talk to Ian about this. Talk to Eric. Talk to the guys over at Ruoff to say, hey, here's the taxable value. Here's the state equalized value. Can you help the client understand how this is going to impact them a year from now? My guys, they know to do the same thing already, but you need to have a working knowledge about this, because what we don't want to do is have our clients be sticker shock a year from now when their taxes are reassessed. Okay, so what does this do? Well, if the taxable value has gone up 20% or 25%, 25%, then that means that the taxes are going to go up about 25% as well. Well, for $4,000 to go up 25%, that means that they're going to go up $1,000 for a grand total of $5,000 a year. So quick math. All right. At $4,000 a year, 30%, I don't know where that came from, per month. Sorry about that. Thinking of percentages and increases and so forth. A lot of things going on in the brain. So at $4,000 a month, or year, we're at $333 a month in taxes. This is going to be in their escrow account. This is under the old. So this is how things are going to start. This is what I want you to understand. As a lender, we have to use the taxable value and the current taxes where they are. Okay. What'll happen a year from now, or 10 months, whenever the timing of year, whenever this gets reassessed, then what'll happen is they're going to go to $5,000 a year, and which is $416 a month. Okay, so you see this difference here. They're going up roughly $84 a month increase. Well, not only is it going to go up $84 a month because the taxes have increased, but it's going to go up an additional amount. It's hard to say based on how much they have in their escrow account, because their escrow account is short. So we have a client that closes right now. Many of you have clients that are in process right now. They're going to close maybe in the next week, in the month of October. Maybe they're going to close in November. Their taxes will not go up right away. The house is not going to be reassessed right now. But what will happen is, when we get ready for the next billing cycle for our taxes, most likely summer, depending on their area too, some areas do it slower than others. What will happen is, let's just say it gets reassessed in the summer and this jump occurs. So what they're going to say is, hey, we just paid your summer tax bill and it was X number of dollars, whatever it was. You didn't have enough in your escrow account to pay that tax bill. We paid it for you. But what we're going to need you to do is, we're going to need you to replenish the monies that we laid out for you. So therefore, we're going to reevaluate, rebalance your escrow account. And not only is your payment going to go up because of the tax increase, but it's going to go up to make up for the tax shortfall. So they'll give you two options typically. Okay, they'll say, let's just make the math really easy. It doesn't really matter the numbers. The concept is more important. Well, they'll say, hey, we're going to increase your payment based on the escrow shortage by $600 or $50 a month because we're $600 short. Okay. Or if you pay us $600 now, that's fine. That'll take up the shortfall, but your payment is still going up $84 a month because of the tax increase. Okay. Or they'll say, if you don't pay us $600 up front, then your payment's going to go up an additional $50 a month to cover that shortfall. Okay, so they usually give you options. They'll say, hey, if you pay $600 now, your payment will only go up $84. If you don't pay the $600, it's going to go up $50 plus $84, which is $134. Now, consider some of the clients that you have right now. Using this example, $4,000 in taxes is not a very high number in the areas that we're dealing with. So a jump to $5,000 isn't a ridiculous notion to consider. However, it may be a situation where if their payment goes up, using my example, $134 a month, that might be a huge impact on their bottom line. Huge. So I've actually had clients that after having this conversation say, hey, by the way, because it was a situation where the homeowner had owned the home for an exceptionally long time. And they fell into a situation where the taxes were going to go up significantly. They were basically going to double. They ended up not buying the house because of this conversation. Now they ended up finding another one. It was actually better. They appreciated that I did that, because what I don't want to do. So here's the thing. We have a fiscal responsibility to our clients to make sure that we are making them aware of these things, because what we don't want to do is have their payment go up to such a range that they can't even qualify any longer, and they can't afford it, most importantly. Now they're going into foreclosure, or they have late payments, or they're having to turn around and sell because they can't afford the house. Now, people that are short-sighted in the industry would be like, well, them selling their house is not a bad thing. I get to list it again. Here's the problem. The likelihood of them calling you back and using your services again may be remote because of the fact that you didn't warn them. Now, once again, we do this together, but you can't assume that every lender is going to do that. Now, if you're leveraging rue off and you're working with us, great. You can be assured that these conversations are going to be happening. But if you're not, and you aren't having the conversation, are they going to call you back in a year and be like, oh yeah, hey, you didn't give me the heads up, but would you please list our house because we can't afford it anymore, right? So we don't want to be short-sighted in that. Let's make sure we're taking care of our clients and letting them know what's going on up front. Okay, so just to summarize, all right? So once again, I don't want you to get bogged down in the math. Don't get caught up in that and say, oh, I don't know how to explain all that. I don't know how to tell them what's going to happen and so forth. That, once again, is not your job. That's lean on us for that. But what your job is to do is pay attention because you have public record. You can see the taxable value and the state equalized value when you're looking in public record. And you're looking at, many cases, at the multiple listing on the MLS. So when you notice here that there is a big disparity between the taxable value and the equalized value, recognize and say, hey, Clark, can you talk to my client about that? Because I don't want them to be in a situation a year from now where they can't afford their house or they're shocked by the increase. So once again, when that increases, the taxes by the percentage and so forth. So there will be an impact on them. So making sure that we are taking care of our clients and having these conversations up front. All right, guys, if you have any questions about this or anything else related to these, make sure you reach out to us. We're always here for you. And as always, choose a great day.